The broadcast began the way most terrible things did in the galaxy, with laughter. The Imperial news grid flickered to life across 1,000 systems, showing a smoky blue planet wrapped in thin white clouds. The headline shimmered. Minor colonial uprising on human world, orbital strike restores order. Anchors with 4 eyes and metallic smiles chuckled as they read the casualty list. 312. Mostly juveniles, one said, waving a translucent claw. An orphanage, apparently. Tragic, but statistically negligible. The segment cut to an advertisement for perfume made from nebular gas. In the floating spires of Zytherian Prime, the Galactic Council of Peace convened for its daily session. Robes gleaming, attendants humming with self-importance. War had been extinct for 7,000 years. Civilizations spanned arm to arm in the Milky Way like an endless, complacent choir. And yet, at the center of the polished chamber, someone had used the word, humans. It drew laughter. The chairman, a creature whose head resembled an opal squid, waved a tentacle lazily. Let us be rational. Earth species are sentimental collectors of old ruins and bad music. They will send a protest, maybe cry a bit, and go back to planting tomatoes. Should we send condolences? Asked another delegate. Of course, said the chairman. But don't overdo it. They interpret emotion as weakness. That prompted a shriek of amusement from the chamber. Weakness? Yes, that sounded human. A courier drone zipped through the assembly moments later, with a glowing cube labeled Emergency from Human Embassy. It floated down like a snowflake, humming faintly. When the hologram unfolded, it revealed a human woman seated behind a wooden desk. Her nameplate read Ambassador Jane Halley. She looked ordinary. Brown hair pinned neatly, eyes calm, voice measured with an Earth accent that rolled like soft thunder. Good evening, members of the Galactic Council, she said pleasantly. We have received your statement regarding the loss of our orphanage on Kepler, 62F. We acknowledge your apology and appreciate the fruit basket. Earth will handle this matter internally. The cube dimmed. The chamber erupted with applause. See? Laughed the chairman. Such grace. They understand accidents happen. But an older delegate, a feathered being with slow, deliberate eyes, tilted her head. That phrase again, she murmured. They always say we'll handle it internally when they mean something else. Like what? The elder's feathers rustled. Like cleaning house. Nobody listened. The bureaucratic farce continued. They spent an hour debating whether to rename the incident a civil mishap or a meteorological event. Someone suggested inviting the humans to an art expo as goodwill. By adjournment, the laughter had worn thin, but the smugness remained. That night, aboard the diplomatic relay station orbiting Deneb, a technician noticed something odd. The human data streams, normally buzzing with jokes, memes, and weather reports, had gone utterly silent. No chatter, no trade packets, no digital noise. Just emptiness. He filed a maintenance ticket. By morning, all outgoing transmissions from Sol were gone. The council reconvened in mild irritation. Probably a solar flare, one said. Or their primitive satellites broke again. Meanwhile, on the edge of human territory, deep space sensors belonging to the Threxian Navy picked up mass displacement readings unlike anything seen in recorded history. Millions of tons of matter were vanishing from the asteroid belts, reappearing elsewhere in perfect geometric arrays. Terraforming exercises? A Threxian officer guessed. Another shrugged. Maybe they're building another theme park. Humans love monuments. But as hours passed, the pattern became clear. Shipyards igniting like constellations, orbital rings lighting up in sequence, AI hives reawakening after millennia of dormancy. From Mars to Europa, from Neptune's dark storms to the edge of the Oort cloud, humanity was mobilizing. They didn't broadcast speeches. They didn't send demands. They didn't even accuse anyone. They just went quiet. And silence, in a galaxy accustomed to endless noise, was far more terrifying than shouting. 3 days later, Ambassador Halley reappeared, this time before the council itself. The aliens applauded as she entered. Humans were amusing when emotional. They wanted to see her cry. She didn't. Her expression was perfectly calm, though her eyes carried the sort of stillness one might see in deep ocean trenches, quiet, endless, and full of pressure. "I come only to confirm receipt of your condolences," she said. The chairman smiled, feigning sympathy. "Our hearts go out to the younglings lost." "Truly." "Thank you," she replied. "Their names have been recorded." A curious senator leaned forward. "For mourning." Hallie's lips curved faintly. "For identification." The room tittered, uncertain whether to laugh. Another alien spoke. "Please reassure your world that this tragic misunderstanding will not disrupt the peace we have enjoyed for millennia." "Peace?" she repeated softly, as if testing the word. "Ah, yes. We were fond of it too." Her words hung there, gentle and polite, and yet the temperature in the chamber seemed to drop several degrees. She bowed, turned, and walked out without another word. The moment the doors shut behind her, every human representative in the Galactic Embassy, across hundreds of worlds, resigned simultaneously. Their offices emptied. Consulates shuttered. Earth withdrew entirely from interstellar politics. The council panicked. "What do we do?" Someone shouted. "Wait it out," said another. "They'll calm down." The old feathered delegate just whispered, "You fools. They don't calm down. They calculate." In the following 48 hours, telescopes at the core began catching flashes of light from the Orion arm. Tiny at first, then brighter, rhythmic, synchronized. A pattern no one could decipher. When the Galactic Astronomical Bureau analyzed the sequence, the translation froze the analysts mid-breath. It wasn't a code. It was a countdown. Meanwhile, on Deneb's station, that same technician noticed a second anomaly. The human frequencies weren't empty anymore. They were humming, deep, mechanical, almost musical. A voice, distorted by distance, slipped through the static. "Evacuate all systems within 200 light-years of Sol." The technician laughed nervously. "A prank," he muttered. The voice repeated, slower, clearer. "This is not a threat. This is courtesy." He tried to trace the signal's origin and found nothing. The source wasn't a single transmitter but millions of synchronized nodes across human space, forming one colossal lattice pulsing with perfect precision. Then came the sound. Low, resonant, like something ancient breathing beneath the stars. Every alien who heard it felt their hearts misfire, a primal recognition buried deep in the DNA of prey species. The Empire's most advanced sensors began returning nonsense readings. Gravitational waves shaped like music, light bending around invisible masses, shadows moving faster than ships. In the council chamber, alarms wailed. Someone shouted, "They're activating weapons older than the Alliance itself." The chairman slammed his tentacles on the table. "Absurd. They're primitives." The elder delegate rose slowly, feathers trembling. "Primitives don't issue polite warnings," she said. "Predators do." A hush fell. The screens flickered. One final human transmission rolled across every frequency in the known galaxy. Calm, clear, and disturbingly kind. "Earth acknowledges your apology," it said. "We'll take care of this matter internally." The message repeated once. Then all signals from the Sol system ceased completely. Out beyond the rim, a freighter captain looked back toward the faint blue star and swore he saw its light dim for a heartbeat, like an eye narrowing. The Galactic Senate was never built for silence. Its vaulted hall had always hummed with argument, posturing, and the smug self-confidence of species that had forgotten how to fear. But when the human delegation entered, the noise thinned to a nervous hush. The lead representative moved with an unsettling precision, each step soft, measured, deliberate. His name was General Elias Ward, age 39, former strategist of the Terran Defense Network, wearing a charcoal suit instead of armor. He looked more like a history professor than a soldier, which was precisely why the senators were uneasy. Ward stopped at the center dais and smiled, a quiet, human expression that somehow felt like the drawing of a blade. Behind him stood two aides, equally composed. The chairman, struggling for calm, raised a frilled hand. "General Ward of Earth, we are honored. Please explain why your planet has ceased all communications." The galaxy trembles at your silence. Ward inclined his head. Silence allows clarity, Chairman. Sometimes noise hides the truth. His voice carried no threat, yet something in the cadence made every translator stutter a half-second behind. A reptilian senator with gold scales sneered. Clarity? Is that what you call mobilizing your fleets? We have confirmed energy spikes from your system large enough to power a small empire. Ward's smile didn't fade. That would be an overstatement. We're simply rearranging priorities. The room rustled with amusement. To most, this was the old Earth sarcasm, an evolutionary tick of a species famous for irony. But the elder avian delegate, feathers dulled with age, leaned forward. She had seen that kind of calm before, centuries ago, before her own people were conquered. Ward continued, eyes tracing the marble floor as though measuring it. An orphanage was destroyed. We intend to ensure no further incidents occur. Reparations can be arranged, the chairman said quickly. The Empire will compensate for all losses. You need not escalate this into reparations. Ward interrupted gently. Do you suppose currency replaces a child? The chamber froze. His tone was almost friendly, yet the air itself seemed to thicken. The senator's gills fluttered open in discomfort. We mean no disrespect. But these things happen. Navigation errors, faulty targeting systems. Ward's gaze lifted, mild and unblinking. You're saying it was an accident? Yes. A regrettable one. He nodded once. Then you'll have no objection to revealing the fleet's coordinates, command hierarchy, and weapon schematics, for transparency, of course. The chairman blinked. For what purpose? Ward's hands folded behind his back. Memorial records. We like to be thorough. A low murmur rolled through the audience. The elder bird's feathers trembled again. Memorial records. Such a cold euphemism. To ease the tension, a young aquatic delegate chirped cheerfully. Ah, the humans and their rituals. You sing songs for your dead, yes? Perhaps a monument. We could assist in designing it. Ward's eyes warmed with what looked almost like gratitude. A monument would be appropriate. You'll see it soon enough. Laughter rippled. Nervous, uncertain. Ward bowed slightly and turned toward the exit. Wait. The chairman called. Before you leave, confirm that this misunderstanding will not endanger the peace accord. The galaxy cannot afford another dark age. Ward paused at the threshold, his silhouette framed by the immense skylight. Peace, he said, as though tasting the word. You mistake it for safety. It isn't. Then he was gone. The senators burst into frantic debate. Some demanded sanctions, others insisted the humans were bluffing. The oldest among them simply whispered, "They are counting." Meanwhile, across the stars, human embassies shut their doors. Staffs packed without orders. Drones erased files. Every withdrawal followed the same clockwork precision, as if pre-written centuries before. On a dozen worlds, alien hosts stood outside empty buildings clutching unsigned treaties, watching Earth's banners fold into silence. Back on Sol, the sky was alive with movement. Fleets emerged from shipyards hidden beneath oceans and frozen moons. Titans older than nations rose from lunar vaults, their hulls etched with ancient markings that no living human remembered designing. Civilian traffic stopped. News networks vanished. The entire system pulsed to one heartbeat, the rhythm of something vast remembering itself. Across the galaxy, confusion turned to ridicule. Hollow anchors grinned at audiences. Our harmless little mammals are having a tantrum. One show displayed a cartoon of a human, shaking its tiny fists at a star destroyer. Ratings soared. When the Threxian military intercepted the first human transmission, they broadcast it as comedy. It was just one sentence, read in a calm female voice. Evacuate all systems within 200 light-years of the Orion Spur. This is not a threat. This is courtesy. The anchors laughed until the feed cut to static. By the next sunrise, 20 of their outer stations had vanished from radar. Not destroyed, gone. Space itself looked different, as if a god had redacted a paragraph from the stars. In the Senate's crisis chamber, The reptilian admiral slammed his claws on the table. They can't possibly have the range. Our sensors detect no jump signatures. They're masking them, someone whispered. That's impossible. So was silence, the elder delegate replied. News arrived in bursts of static and horror. Automated human drones bypassing defenses by predicting them seconds ahead, fleets appearing inside warp-locked zones, soldiers wearing smiles even as they dismantled armies. Every battle lasted less than a minute. Still, Ward's personal signal remained active, calm as ever. From his office aboard a diplomatic cruiser orbiting a neutral moon, he watched reports scroll across a black screen. Each line ended with one word, resolved. His aide, a young lieutenant, finally spoke. Sir, the Senate is begging for dialogue. Ward didn't look up. They already had it. They just never listened. Permission to ask, sir. Why issue the warning? We could have struck without it. Ward's smile returned, softer this time. Courtesy costs nothing. And it terrifies them more than threats ever could. Outside the viewport, the stars flickered, beacons igniting in human-controlled sectors, forming patterns visible even from galactic distances. To alien astronomers, they looked like coordinates. To Ward, they were a map. He closed his eyes for a moment, hearing faint echoes. Children's laughter recorded from the orphanage before it burned. Every human soldier had it playing quietly in their helmet speakers, a lullaby and a promise. The aide whispered, "They'll call us monsters." Ward opened his eyes, pale blue and endless. They already did. Now they'll learn why. At that exact moment, deep sensors across the galaxy detected synchronized power surges in 40 human fleets. The readings formed a symbol recognized by only a few scholars, a stylized tree, the old emblem of Earth's unity from forgotten wars. The historian who deciphered it dropped his stylus. "It's not a declaration," he said. "It's a reminder." In the Senate chamber, lights dimmed as emergency messages poured in. Whole systems were evacuating. Trade collapsed. Someone screamed, "Stop them before they reach the core!" But in the panic, the elder delegate simply closed her eyes. "Too late," she whispered. The predators remembered the hunt. And far away, on his ship cloaked in the black between suns, General Ward lifted a glass of water, studying the ripples that danced inside it. Each ripple matched the heartbeat of Earth. He spoke softly into the calm, almost tenderly. "Phase 2. Proceed." The stars answered him with silence so complete it sounded like consent. The first explosions came without sound, just light, like new stars being born in the wrong places. Across the Orion Spur, entire fleets vanished before their distress calls finished transmitting. For 7,000 years, the galaxy had forgotten what war looked like. Now, every species remembered at once. The galactic news grid tried to frame it as an incident. Analysts argued over whether humans possessed such range. Statisticians insisted it was impossible. Then came the video, smuggled out of the Threxian frontier before the feed went black. It showed a human ship descending silently through planetary shields, as if physics itself stepped aside. No energy signature, no broadcast, just a voice transmitted in the universal frequency. "This is retribution, not conquest. Please evacuate civilian sectors." The camera caught a flash, then nothing. In the Senate's war chamber, admirals screamed over one another. Holomaps pulsed with red symbols spreading outward like spilled ink. "They're inside jump-lock zones," shouted a reptilian general. "How?" "Predictive vectors," murmured the elder avian delegate. "They're guessing where we'll defend before we do." The chairman trembled, translucent veins pulsing violet. "Summon General Ward. We must negotiate." But Ward wasn't in the Senate anymore. He was already at the front, standing aboard the human flagship Oppenheimer, its hull black as the void, engraved with the words "Children of Earth, Guardians of Tomorrow." He stood before a wall of monitors showing hundreds of alien worlds. Every light represented a fleet that had once laughed at humanity's weakness. His aide approached, face pale. "Sir, Alien Command requests dialogue." Ward glanced up from the console. "Dialogue? Now they find their tongues." He pressed a switch. Patch them through. The hologram formed. A tall insectoid admiral with a quivering jaw. General Ward, cease your offensive. You've made your point. Ward tilted his head. My point? His tone was mild. You think this is symbolic? You've destroyed 68 colonies. Destroyed? Ward's eyes narrowed. No. We erased their war engines, not their homes. We're civilized. The alien's antennae twitched. Your restraint is monstrous. Thank you, Ward said softly. Behind him the crew laughed. A sharp, humorless sound that wasn't joy but exhaustion. They were engineers, teachers, doctors, soldiers. Each had a hollow pendant showing faces lost in the orphanage fires. Each fought with terrifying calm. Humanity wasn't burning with rage, it was colder than that. Ward paced to the viewport. Beyond it, the galaxy glimmered like glass fractured under heat. Human fleets moved in perfect silence, folding and unfolding through dimensions like origami. He whispered to himself, You called us emotional. You should have prayed we were. The aide spoke again. Sir, reports confirm Operation Mercury is complete. Outer sectors neutralized. Ward nodded. Proceed to Phase 3. Full blackout. Across the galaxy, alien command screens turned to static. The humans hadn't merely silenced communication. They'd replaced every frequency with a single melody. Children's laughter. Panic ignited. Armadas fired blindly into empty space. Civilian worlds fled toward the core, screaming for sanctuary. But humanity didn't pursue. They moved with surgical precision, disabling weapons, stripping fleets, leaving civilizations humiliated but alive. It wasn't vengeance for blood, it was correction for arrogance. Inside the Senate, chaos reigned. The chairman slammed his tentacles against the table. They refused to communicate. They are killing our economy. They warned you, croaked the elder delegate. Courtesy, they said. You mistook it for weakness. At that moment, the Senate screens flickered, then resolved into the image of General Ward. He looked calm, even courteous. To the Galactic Council, he began. Earth extends a formal apology for the interruption of your commerce. We understand disruption can be distressing. You dare mock us? The chairman spat. Mockery? Ward smiled faintly. No. Clarity. You mistook peace for permission. Your species will burn for this. Ward's voice dropped to a whisper that somehow filled the room. We don't burn children. We bury those who do. He ended transmission. For the first time in millennia, the Senate's defense network activated full alert. Every starport lit up with evacuation protocols. But even as fleets scrambled, humans were already there, appearing inside command decks, disabling ships without firing a shot. Their weapons weren't projectiles but algorithms, self-learning, non-lethal for those who surrendered, catastrophic for those who resisted. In one such captured cruiser, a terrified alien officer begged her human captor. Why are you doing this? The soldier, a woman barely 30, handed her a data slate. Read it. The alien's eyes scanned the glowing screen. Photos of smiling orphans, each face tagged. Killed in Imperial Strike 217 Standard Time. Beneath the list, a single line. They were all we had left to protect. The alien looked up, tears refracting in her many eyes. We didn't know. The soldier holstered her weapon. You do now. Meanwhile, on the Oppenheimer, Ward watched the casualty reports. 0 civilian losses, 0 planetary bombardments. Every strike had been mathematical, almost merciful. Let them live with the memory, he said quietly. His aide hesitated. Sir, the Council has requested direct surrender negotiations. They're transmitting white flag coordinates. Ward nodded. Accept. Prepare an envoy team. As he turned to leave, the aide blurted. Sir, when this is over, what then? Do we stop? Ward paused, his expression unreadable. Stop. He looked out the viewport where the Milky Way shimmered like a wound. We've only reminded them what we are. Now we remind ourselves why we stopped. At the same time, deep in alien space, scientists noticed something extraordinary. The regions where human fleets had passed began showing stabilized energy fields, planetary ecosystems correcting, even decayed stars flickering back to life. The humans hadn't just destroyed, they'd repaired. War, it seemed, was their way of pruning chaos. Within 72 hours, half the Galactic Empire surrendered. The rest hid behind their shields, praying those ancient predators in polite suits would tire of cleaning the universe. And then, as suddenly as it began, the offensive stopped. The human fleets went dark again, drifting in perfect formation above the ruins of the alien capital. No demands. No victory speech. Just one transmission. General Ward's voice, calm as rain. This concludes internal maintenance. Thank you for your patience. In the Galactic Senate's ruins, survivors stared at the flickering hologram. One whispered, "Internal maintenance?" The elder delegate closed her eyes, her feathers trembling. "They weren't at war with us," she murmured. "They were at war with what we made of peace." And above the dead capital, the stars shifted. For the first time in recorded history, the constellation of Sol brightened. 7,000 years of peace had ended, and something older, colder, and infinitely human had awakened again. Smoke drifted over the ruined capital like a ghost that refused to leave. The air shimmered with the metallic tang of ozone and burnt circuitry. Silence, true, oppressive silence, had fallen over the galaxy. For the first time in 7 millennia, no world was broadcasting music, gossip, or trade reports. The stars had become an audience, waiting for the final act of humanity's return. General Elias Ward stood atop the shattered balcony of the Senate Citadel, where once 1,000 alien species debated philosophy. Now, the only sound was the soft clicking of his boots against marble still warm from orbital fire. Around him, soldiers of the Terran Expeditionary Command worked in eerie coordination, dismantling what remained of the Empire's weapons. No one spoke. They didn't need to. The dead had already said enough. A wounded alien emperor lay nearby on a stretcher of silver mesh, scaled, majestic even in defeat. His golden eyes watched Ward with something between awe and terror. "You could have destroyed us all," he rasped. Ward crouched beside him, voice soft as a prayer. "We could have. But extinction is too clean. You'll live to remember." The Emperor tried to sneer, but only managed to whisper, "Your mercy is cruelty." Ward's expression didn't change. "It's education." From the horizon came the low rumble of engines. Dozens of human carriers descended through the clouded atmosphere, sunlight glinting off their black hulls. The sound wasn't thunder, it was precision, purpose, and warning. Humanity hadn't come to occupy. They had come to tidy up the mess. Ward straightened and turned to his aide. "Begin restoration protocol. Upload the new administrative code to their systems." The aide hesitated. "Sir, are we really taking control of their governance?" Ward gave a small, humorless smile. "Control? No. We're teaching them to behave unsupervised." He walked down the grand staircase littered with the shattered insignias of the old empire. Each symbol, the spiral of the Zytherians, the comic crest of the Threxians, the avian sun of the Avra, lay cracked under his boots. The weight of them was heavy, but not heavier than the image still burned behind his eyes. A burning orphanage and 312 little names carved into his mind like constellations. A transmission pinged softly in his ear. The voice was gentle, female, familiar. "This is Ambassador Jane Halley, reporting from the Terran Council. Congratulations, Elias. The Senate has ratified the Galactic Accord of Remembrance. You've ended the war." Ward stopped mid-step. "Ended?" His voice was almost amused. "No, Jane. We've reminded them what war means." Halley sighed across the static. "You can come home now." He looked to the skies where the Terran fleets hung in orderly silence, their formation shaped like a halo around the dying planet. "Home's been awake the whole time," he murmured. Down below, soldiers handed out rations to surviving civilians, an odd sight, soldiers in armor serving food instead of fire. The aliens trembled as the humans knelt to offer them water. "Drink," one Marine said softly to a reptilian child. "It's clean." The child hesitated, sniffed, then drank with tears running down scaled cheeks. The galaxy had expected monsters. They got neighbors instead, neighbors who smiled politely and carried a loaded memory. Ward moved through the wreckage, pausing beside a holographic monument rising from the center square. It was still forming, holograms of children, their laughter echoing faintly, names scrolling beneath their faces. The Orphans of Kepler, 62F. He felt his throat tighten, though his voice stayed calm. "Keep it visible," he told the engineers. "Every system in the galaxy will stream this memorial for 1,000 years. No one forgets again." As the hologram flickered, an alien journalist approached cautiously, trembling with her recorder. "General Ward," she began, her translator trembling. "The galaxy demands to know, was this vengeance or justice?" He considered the question, then looked up at the cold sky. "Justice is what the living say when they survive their guilt," he said. "This was closure. But why reveal such power?" She stammered. "You could have ruled the galaxy." Ward turned his gaze on her, and for a heartbeat she saw it. What lay beneath the civility, beneath the patience. The predator that learned kindness not out of nature, but out of exhaustion. "Because we don't want to rule," he said. "We just want to be left alone to raise our children." She lowered the recorder. "And if the galaxy forgets again?" Ward's lips curved faintly. "Then we'll remind them again." He walked away, coat brushing against marble streaked with ash. Around him, soldiers packed for departure. The war was over, but humanity didn't linger. They came like storms, corrected, then vanished. Yet this time, they left behind more than silence, they left structure. Repaired generators, clean water systems, working hospitals. Each rebuilt world bore a plaque engraved with human script, courtesy restored. Night fell quickly. The alien emperor, now stabilized, requested a final audience. Ward met him under the fractured dome of the Senate. Stars shone through the cracks like distant candles. The emperor spoke weakly. "What drives you, human? You fight with no hunger for conquest, no need for wealth. What keeps your species from peace?" Ward's face softened. "We had peace. We still do. You just confused peace with forgetfulness." He handed the emperor a small device, a data crystal glowing faint blue. "Inside are the archives of Earth's history. Every war, every loss, every act of compassion. Study them. They're your warning and your guide." The emperor clutched it with shaking hands. "And if we do not learn?" Ward began to walk away, his shadow stretching long across the rubble. "Then you'll meet our teachers again. They don't forgive twice." Outside, dawn crept across the ruins. The sunlight painted the ships gold as they lifted off, engines roaring low and steady. Ward paused at the boarding ramp, looking back at the city. No longer burning, just broken. "We didn't destroy them," he said quietly to himself. "We gave them a mirror." A small hand tugged at his sleeve. A human child, one of the rescued orphans, stood beside him holding a tattered stuffed toy. "Are we going home now, General?" Ward looked down at her. The living proof of why the galaxy still existed. He knelt and brushed soot from her cheek. "Yes, sweetheart. But not all of us. Some have to stay and make sure the monsters stay asleep." She nodded solemnly, clutching his hand. "Monsters don't like lullabies." He smiled faintly. "That's why we sing them loud." The engines thrummed louder, rattling the ground. Ward straightened, saluted the rising fleet, and whispered into his comm. "Initiate final transmission." Across the galaxy, every surviving system received a single message, polite, unmistakably human. "Earth thanks you for your patience during this corrective process. The orphanage has been avenged. The galaxy is now safe for children again. Please remain peaceful. Always." Then the feed cut. The stars dimmed for a heartbeat, just one. And in that breathless moment, every species across the Milky Way understood. Peace wasn't humanity's nature. It was their gift. And gifts, when broken, always came back sharpened.